I should be sleeping right now. Instead, I'm sitting in my car outside my son's apartment at 3 a.m., debating whether to use the spare key he gave me. Through his bedroom window, I can see him sleeping peacefully next to Emma, the woman he plans to propose to tomorrow. The ring is hidden in his sock drawer. I know because I found it last week while dropping off his laundry. It's a 2-carat princess cut, just like the one I gave his mother. The same ring, the same timing, the same red flags I chose to ignore 28 years ago. They say history repeats itself, but what they don't tell you is how it feels to watch your own mistakes play out in slow motion through your child's eyes. To see them falling into the same trap you've been living in for nearly 3 decades. To know exactly how their story ends because you're still living that ending every single day.
If you're already feeling drawn into this story, that's exactly what the Listening Room 808 is about. Real, raw confessions that make us think about our own lives. Hit the subscribe button to join us on this journey weekly, because trust me, these confessions from strangers across the world might just change how you see your own life. Now, let's get back into it.
I remember the night I proposed to Lisa, my wife. We were at Le Bernardin in Manhattan, the same restaurant where my father proposed to my mother. Everything was perfect. The wine, the music, the way her blue dress matched her eyes. When I got down on one knee, she started crying. I told myself they were tears of joy. They weren't. Just like I told myself her hesitation was normal pre-wedding jitters. It wasn't. 2 nights ago, I overheard Emma on the phone with her sister in our backyard. "I don't know, Sarah," she was saying, her voice barely a whisper. "Sometimes I feel like I'm suffocating. Like I'm playing a role in someone else's story." She paused, wiping her eyes. "But Michael's such a good man. He'd never hurt me intentionally. Maybe this is just what real love feels like when the butterflies fade." I had to grip the porch railing to steady myself. 28 years ago, I overheard Lisa saying almost the exact same words to her best friend. "He's such a good man, Jenny. Maybe this is what mature love is supposed to feel like." The truth? Mature love isn't supposed to feel like drowning. It took me 15 years of marriage to figure that out. Don't misunderstand. Lisa is an incredible woman. She's kind, intelligent, successful. On paper, we're the perfect couple. We raise money for charities, host dinner parties, take vacations to Martha's Vineyard. Our Christmas cards look like they could be stock photos. Our friends call us relationship goals. But here's what they don't see. They don't see how we haven't really touched each other in years. Not the kind of touch that makes your skin tingle and your heart race. They don't see how we communicate through carefully worded texts, even when we're in the same house. They don't see how we've mastered the art of having entire conversations without saying anything real. They don't see how I still wake up sometimes in the middle of the night, my chest tight with the weight of all the words we've never said. How I lie there listening to Lisa's steady breathing, wondering if she feels it too. This vast, empty space between us that we've furnished with schedules and routines and polite conversation. But the worst part, the part that keeps me awake night after night, it's not the regret. It's not even the loneliness. It's watching my son Michael fall into the exact same pattern. I see it in the way he plans his dates with Emma, like business meetings. In how they never argue because they never talk about anything worth arguing about. In how they've turned love into a checklist. Good job, check. Similar background, check. Wants kids, check. Parents approve, check. Last month at our family barbecue, I watched Emma help Lisa prepare the salad. They moved around each other with the same careful politeness that's become Lisa's trademark. Emma arranged the tomatoes in perfect concentric circles, just like Lisa always does. Michael beamed with pride. "See how well she gets along with Mom," he whispered to me. I wanted to shake him. I wanted to scream, "That's not compatibility. That's compliance. That's not connection. That's choreography." But I didn't. Because how do you tell your son that you've spent 28 years sleeping next to a stranger? How do you explain that while his mother is an amazing woman, our marriage is built on the foundation of mutual surrender? That we've both given up so many pieces of ourselves to maintain this perfect facade that sometimes I'm not sure who we are anymore? Last week, Michael told me he was nervous about the proposal. "But Emma's perfect for me," he said. "She's just like Mom." Those words felt like a knife to my gut. Because Emma is just like Lisa. Too much like Lisa. She has the same forced smile when she's uncomfortable. The same way of smoothing her skirt when she's anxious. The same habit of agreeing with everyone to avoid conflict. The same carefully constructed walls that Lisa built around herself years ago. And Michael, God, Michael is just like me. so desperate to do the right thing that he's willing to sacrifice the real thing. I see him dimming his light to match her comfort level, watching him edit his words, his dreams, his very essence to fit into the mold of what a good husband should be, just like I did, just like I still do. The signs are everywhere. How he stopped playing his guitar because Emma said it didn't fit with their 5-year plan. How he turned down that startup job he was passionate about because Emma preferred the stability of his corporate position. How he recently bought a house in the suburbs even though he always talked about living in the city. Small compromises, tiny surrenders, death by 1,000 paper cuts to the soul. And the worst part, Emma's doing the same thing. I've seen her sketchbooks. She's incredibly talented, but she never shows her art to anyone because according to her, it's not practical. She wanted to travel before settling down, but she's already looking at preschools in our neighborhood because that's the responsible thing to do. They're both so busy trying to be what they think the other person wants that they've forgotten to be themselves. Just like Lisa and me. Now I'm sitting here in my car, the spare key burning a hole in my pocket, wondering if I have the right to interfere. Wondering if I'm projecting my own regrets onto their relationship. Wondering if maybe, just maybe, they have what Lisa and I never did. But then I remember the look in Emma's eyes when she was on the phone with her sister. The same look I've seen in Lisa's eyes countless times over the years. The look of someone drowning in expectations, gasping for air but smiling through it all. My hand reaches for the car door handle, then pulls back. What right do I have to stop this? What if I'm wrong? What if this is just my own midlife crisis speaking? What if they really are meant for each other? But then I think about the moment that haunts me most from my own marriage. It wasn't a big fight or a dramatic revelation. It was a quiet Sunday morning. About 10 years in, Lisa was reading the paper and I was doing the crossword. She looked up suddenly and said, "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we'd been brave enough to be honest with each other from the beginning." Then she went back to reading, and we never spoke of it again. That's the moment I keep coming back to. Because it wasn't just what she said, it was the resignation in her voice. The acceptance that this was our life now, built on a foundation of things we were too afraid to say. And now, watching Michael and Emma, I see that same fear. That same willingness to settle for less than they deserve, because they're afraid of hurting each other, afraid of disappointing their families, afraid of being alone. The ring in Michael's sock drawer isn't just a ring. It's a time machine. It's about to trap them in the same careful dance of avoidance and compromise that Lisa and I have been performing for 28 years. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Michael. "Dad, you up? Need to talk." My hands are shaking as I type back. "Outside your place. Come down." Because maybe, just maybe, it's not too late for him. Maybe by finally being honest about my own mistakes, I can save my son from repeating them. Or maybe I'm about to destroy everything. My marriage, my relationship with my son, our family's carefully maintained illusion of happiness. But as I watch Michael's bedroom light turn on, as I see him carefully sliding out of bed so as not to wake Emma, I realize something. Sometimes the biggest mistake isn't the choice you make. It's the truth you don't tell.
Before we share the next story sitting in our mailbox, I want to take a moment to thank you for being here today. In the Listening Room, the Listening Room 808 is more than just a channel. It's a space where we can share our deepest regrets and learn from each other's experiences. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing to join our growing community. Your support helps these important stories reach others who might need to hear them. And if you found value in today's story, leaving a like helps more people discover these conversations. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next upload when it drops. Also, if this story stirred something in you, if you found yourself thinking about a secret, a regret, or an experience that you've never shared, I'd like you to know the Listening Room 808 is here for you. Your story deserves to be heard. Whether it's a confession that's been weighing on your heart, a life-changing moment you've never spoken about, or a truth you need to finally let out, this is your space. Send your story to the listener808@gmail.com. Share it anonymously if you prefer, because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear exactly what you've been afraid to say. Remember, you've held on to that secret for too long. It's time to let it out. Here at the Listening Room 808, we listen, we don't judge.